Okay, live. Hi, everyone in the internet world. Jonathan, I don't see our PowerPoint. Can you see the PowerPoint, Larry? Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Christine Bono with Scottsdale Unified School District Office of Community Education. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us tonight, but most importantly, for your patience while we work out some technical issues. In this day and age, you think we would have Teams and Zoom worked out. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. You should now be able to see our Kids Club PowerPoint. So thank you to the 124 of you who are joining. Important to point out tonight that we will be posting the video of this call on our website, our Kids Club website. Jonathan's going to help me with that. And also in your Q&A, you can ask questions that Larry Conti, who you can't see but is here as our producer, he will be fielding those questions, and we'll stop throughout the presentation to make sure those questions get answered. We're also hoping IT can send us a history of all the questions so we can compile those as well for our website. So without further ado, again, thank you for your patience. Want to talk tonight a little bit about our Kids Club program this year, but most importantly, our registration system. Many of you know that we had to put off starting registration. We wanted to start it a little earlier, but there were some kinks with our registration system. So we're going to get started there. And again, we are going to get to your questions and get an overview of our program here. So we have our community education team. Just wanted you can't see these people, but they are the ones, the heroes behind the scenes that help us out with everything as it relates to community education, early learning, and Kids Club. So again, I'm Christine Bono. I've been so proud to be the director of Kids Club these past 4 years. I'm taking on a different role in our district. So Mr. Nick Noonan will become our director of early learning, community education, and Scottsdale Online, which is our virtual high school, starting July 1. So I know he looks forward to getting to know as many of you as he can as well. We have Larry Conti, our operations coordinator. Shelley Pappas is our teacher on assignment who helps with early learning. And Laura Valenzuela is our student support coordinator. Julia Rash is our fiscal coordinator, who many of you know. Melissa Turnquist is our enrichment coordinator for our after-school enrichment classes. Elisa Gonzalez is our admin support coordinator. And Liz is our Kids Club supervisor. These are the locations we're going to have Kids Club this year. You'll see here that all the schools that are listed, we do not have Kids Club at our Title I schools. They traditionally will work with our City of Scottsdale program. And you will see that Echo Canyon has a little asterisk by it because their Kids Club is only for preschool and pre-K, as they also use the City of Scottsdale for their big kids. Also wanted to point out, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, but we are licensed through the Department of Health Services. All of our programs here through Community Ed are licensed through the Arizona Department of Health Services. That means we have certain ratios, which kind of come into play when we talk about our capacity. So at Anasazi and Hopi, they don't have any preschool or pre-K, so their ratio is our largest from 1 to 20. If the school has preschool, like Pueblo, Laguna, Desert Canyon, their ratio is 1 adult to 13 kids. And the schools, all the other schools that have pre-K, their ratio is 1 to 14. 15. Oh, Larry corrected me. It's 15. Sorry. These here you can see our locations and our hours and our pricing. A few changes for this year. This year, our hours are going to be 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have brought back the daily rate for the morning. So if you recall, for the past 2 years, we had a flat rate for morning. So whether you went once or 5 times a week, it was $100 for the block. But now we will have that option. And we're going to talk about this verbiage of drop-in versus consistent, which is what our new registration system called ARUX, A-R-U-X, ARUX uses. So here you will see the hours based on the location. So for example, Cheyenne and Echo Canyon are 2 of our K-8 schools, and they start at 7:45, so they've never had before school care. And you can see here the rate for before school. So if you just need mornings, let's say you need it 1 morning a week, that would be $8. If you needed it again for every day, it would be $100 a block. After school, if we're looking at the schools there, the majority of our schools, all but 2, that daily drop-in rate, and again, we're going to talk about what ARUCS considers drop-in, is $14 a day and $22 a day on early release. And then you can see there for Cheyenne and Echo Canyon as well. And we're hoping that with this new registration system, it streamlines a few things, which we're going to get to. So with this new ARUC system, and we're going to be talking a lot about it, so don't hesitate to put your questions in, and hopefully we'll answer them throughout this presentation. So for our before school care, and for aftercare, there are two separate, what we'll call contracts or opportunities. So ARUCS calls, if you need it every day, you know your child's going to come to before school care or after school care every day. That's called a consistent schedule, is what they call it. If you sign up for the consistent schedule, you are in. You're guaranteed a spot for the whole year. If you choose that drop-in, and that again is a term of art that ARUCS uses, drop-in means I still have to sign up. And if you recall, if you've been one of our families in years past and you chose that daily rate, you had to sign up by Thursday for the next week. So for example, if I needed a daily option for drop-in next week and I needed to go Wednesday, I would have to log on by tonight and request that day. And we're going to talk about a difference there, because when you're doing the drop-in, you're just requesting. It's not guaranteed. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to go, we'll talk about the Kids Club schedule here in a second. We'll go back and chat about the Kids Club, what that daily schedule looks like and how drop-off and pickup work. But I know many of you have questions about this. So when we talk about that drop-in, and again, we're going to go over what it looks like on the ARUC side of things. But the example I like to use, and I'm in no way comparing our children to pets, but my children are mostly grown, and my dogs go to doggy daycare. They don't need Kids Club. My kids went to Kids Club from pre-K all the way through grade 5, but now my dogs go to doggy daycare. And I could pay for them to go every day, but I don't. I just choose a few days a month. So I go on to the website at Dogtopia and I select next Wednesday, and then within a day or two, I get an email that says, yes, we can honor your request. We have space. And that's how it's going to be with our new drop-in system. So if you pick consistent, you're in, you're guaranteed. But if I need drop-in, I'm going to log on and we're going to chat about that. You're going to pay the $25 registration fee, and then in a date to be determined here pretty soon when you register, you'll be able to select specific days. So let's say I know I need every early release. I'm going to go in and select my early release days. However, because if you've also been one of our families for the past few years, you know that we've been contending with a severe staffing shortage and we've had a wait list. We're hoping that with this new system that reduces the need for having a wait list and actually mitigates it altogether. But what we will do is, after all the consistent scheduling families are in, then we go look at our requests for drop-in, and they will be sorted by timestamp. And for example, at Kiva, let's say we have the capacity for 80. And we have 70 families that have selected consistent, and we know we have 10 spots, but 15 families have requested. We're going to go through those timestamps and select the 10, and the other families will get an email indicating that we were unable to honor their request for that day. You know, we wish we could hope we can take everybody. It depends on the site. It also depends on our staffing. Some weeks we know we're going to be well staffed, and some weeks we won't. But with our consistent scheduling folks, we know we can say, wow, Kiva is going to have 60 consistent, but maybe Anasazi is only going to have 10. Maybe we can take one of their staff members for that day or a few days and move them over where we know we're going to have the need. So again, you're going to hear me say this quite often. We're going to ask for a little bit of grace while we learn our registration system, and we give you an opportunity to get the hang of it as well. I'm going to stop there to see what questions we have before we go on to the actual ARUCS page and what that looks like. That's a great question. The question was, when they go back to the payment page, that $225 is not a week, that is by block. And thank you for asking that, because I failed to clarify that we call a block is 18 days, and it is theoretically a school month. So, there are 10 blocks in a year because there are, and the block dates are on the website, and we'll make sure it's in a very clear spot so you can see the dates attending, because some months we have less days, if it's a fall break month or a winter break month, but it equals out to 18 days in a block. It's $225 for that whole block. Yep. Question came up for the sites that started at 6:30. There's a couple of reasons. We had very few families who used that time. We went through, we had our Kids Club folks look at all the timesheets and then reach out to those families. If you were not notified and that's a time you relied on, I apologize that this was the first time you're hearing that. So it was for, we didn't have families who used it. Some schools never had anyone arrive much before 7:10. And also, another big reason is our staffing. It is really challenging to secure staff to come in at 6:30. For better or for worse, we've had staff members who say if it was at 7, I would be more than happy to come back to Kids Club or be employed by Kids Club. So that 6:30 was a really challenging time to find staff, and the demand wasn't there for the 6:30 start time. Great question, and we'll chat more about it, but the question was, let's say I start with the consistent and then I realize my schedule might change. Can I switch to the drop-in? Yes, not in the middle of a block, but yes, after a block period, you can. Great question. Can you register through a mobile phone? Absolutely. So we're going to actually go to this next slide. Okay. Even though the website you're going to go to is www.susd.arux.app, ARUX is not an app. It is a website. However, it is very mobile friendly. Unlike some of our district apps we might use, or maybe some other apps you've used, if you've ever used our former registration system, it's not user friendly. I created my own login for one of my kids. I made him 15 years younger, and I've made an account for him and wanted to navigate what you all will see come Monday. And I will not break out into a Jimmy Buffett song. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Okay, so yes, you can use a mobile phone. It's super easy, and we're gonna chat about that. No, great question. You guys are asking some of the best questions, so thank you. So the question was, let's say I select all the half days. Do I pay up front? No. If you're picking the daily option and you go in and you select all of those days, your stored payment is only charged when we accept it. So we will go in. Now, if you go in and you select one of the early release days in May, that's not going to be accepted for quite a while. We're going to really focus on August, September, October for right now. So you'll still be in the queue on the list, but you do not get charged until it is accepted. Great question. If we choose consistent and we know there are days we're not going to be there, how does that work? It would work pretty much like if you're a family in the past where you would just want to notify your Kids Club specialist, and we provide those phone numbers just to say, hey, Maggie and Maya are going to be out. They're not going to be attending this week on Wednesday. And let's say you are signed up for consistent and your child doesn't come because maybe you forgot to tell us, or maybe we didn't get the message for whatever reason. We call to say, hey, just want to see if did Maya take the bus home, or is she coming to Kids Club today? So we have a couple checks and balances to make sure we know where all of our kids are. Correct. That also allows us, if we know that Maya and Maggie's mom, the kids aren't coming every Thursday, we can then look at our Thursdays and say, hey, we have 6 families who want to come for that drop-in, and then we can take those as well. There is a lower rate for the second child, 10%. Block is 18 days. The question was about the SUSD staff discount. Theoretically, we're going to be working on that. You will still get a discount, but we're working with our ARUX folks to figure that out. And it's important to note when registration opens Monday, even though ARUX is based in Minneapolis, our wonderful trainer is actually going to be coming to help troubleshoot any glitches that might come up. The question was, if I want to switch, do I re-enroll? And we'll talk about that actually. So we're going to pause the questions just for a second. And I don't think I can. Jonathan, if I'm trying to share my screen to go to that ARUX website, are you able to do that or can I?
You can share your screen.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go here. And I'm going to go here. Oh, come on. Oh, no. Control. Click. Oh, it is opening up here. Okay. Oh, well, that's not at all what I wanted to have happened. Let's see here. I'm going to have to go to Larry, can you, oh, see, it's not letting me. Okay, well, they might have turned it back off. Okay, so if you can access this website, and again, this is all going to be on our website, but earlier today I was on the website and you will see the community portal, and it provides some great information regarding our programs, and then it provides you an opportunity to create a login, to create an account. We've had a couple great questions today from families who have said, I have kids at 2 different schools. Do I create one account? Yes, you create one account, but you can add different kids. And also regarding families who perhaps kids live in more than one home, that you're able to have your own accounts. But the other issue was around, for consistent versus the drop-in. So actually, let me, okay. So I'm hoping you can see this, and there's a QR code on this form, but this says introducing ARUX, your new digital home for Kids Club. So this has the directions right here on it. And we're just going to chat about a few of the things to be mindful of when you register. Again, registration is going to open at 8 a.m. on Monday morning for all of our sites. What I would recommend, you could create your login. You might be able to create your account prior to that. It takes very few minutes. But a couple of things to keep in mind, and I'm going to stop. Maybe I'll just go back to this. Okay, that's good for right now. So when you are creating your account, one of the things you'll do, and again, I found it very user-friendly. What I'm going to ask you all to do, if you're not finding it user-friendly, or you come up with what you might find as bumpers, and maybe other families do as well, to email us. So when we want to compile those questions. If you're having an issue, more than likely someone else is going to have the same issue. We want to kind of band together to troubleshoot. So when you create, one of the most important things we found today is when you select your grade, preschool and pre-K is not an option. Your kids can absolutely come to Kids Club, but what you will select is, if my child's going into pre-K, there's going to be a drop down, and I'm going to select kindergarten for the 26-27 school year. That's an option. If my child is in preschool, they're 3 and they're coming to preschool this year at Laguna, let's say, I'm going to select will be in kindergarten in the 27-28 school year. If your child is going to be in 3rd grade this upcoming year, you could make sure you select 3rd grade for the 25-26 school year. That was an interesting little glitch we noticed today. The other thing is, let's say and this happens more often than one would think, you want to select drop-in for morning care. You just need it maybe a couple times a month, a couple times a year, but you're going to want consistent for after school. You're going to want to select, and you'll see it as an option. you're going to see an option that says, when you get to that point, do I want to select consistent or drop-in? If you don't need consistent for both, you're going to select consistent first, and then you'll see it'll take you through that process. And then at the very end, it'll give you an option to also add on drop-in for morning. And again, if you look at it today, you might, or on Monday, you'll be able to kind of see that. But again, if you're having an issue, ARUCS will help troubleshoot. We will also learn together and troubleshoot that. Another thing we're going to chat about is one of the biggest questions we received, not only from our Kids Club, but our early learning program. We had the inability to do auto pay. ARUCS has auto pay. So when you register and you pay that registration fee, you will have to supply a payment method. So you would provide a credit card. But let's say you want to keep auto pay. You would set up auto pay once your contract has been accepted, and auto pay would be set up. But let's say you say, I don't want to do auto pay. I'll put in my credit card for the registration fee, but I'd rather either pay monthly as I go or come to our office and pay. Then after you set up your initial registration, or rather your initial profile, you'll be able to turn off that stored method after we've accepted. So you're gonna, on Monday, you're gonna fill it out. You're gonna pick consistent, you're gonna pick daily, or the drop-in, let's say. And then we get emails on our end that says you have 800 contracts to accept. Once we accept it, that's when your credit card will take that credit card or that $25 registration fee. At that point, if you want, you can turn off auto pay, but I know many of you feel relieved that we have that option. But with that registration fee, or rather with that auto pay, ARUCS does charge a 2.99 convenience fee. So for that $25, it's 75 cents. If you want to avoid that, we're still working with ARUCS to say, well, how would that be if someone pays with a check or comes into our office to pay on Apple Pay or to pay with cash? But you will have the opportunity to turn off the automatic payment after we've processed your registration fee. And again, this PowerPoint and these links will be on our website later on this evening when I get home. What questions? Someone asked, that's a great question. When we originally were working with ARUCS, our hope was instead of a daily, it would either be 3 days a block or 5 days. In working with ARUCS, what the issue is if we had a 3-day option, it would have to be the same 3 days every week. So you wouldn't be able to say, I need Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week, but next week I need Tuesday, Thursday, Monday. So we did away with that. When we talked to our neighboring districts who are using ARUCS, also important to note, ARUCS is a fairly new company. They used to be called a different name, and then they kind of broke apart, created this new, much more well-functioning, user-friendly platform. Madison School District just adopted it, as is Deer Valley. We asked Madison, well, how are you getting around the whole 3-day? They actually don't even offer a drop-in. They only offer the consistent 5 days. So it's a little bit of an anomaly with ARUCS that we are even doing a drop-in and a consistent. So unfortunately, we're not able to do a 3-day, but if you want to do a drop-in for 3 days, you can go in and pick three different days every week. Some people have asked about maybe can we drop off at 6:45. I'd like you to email us. I can't guarantee that. I think some of our staff members, I think they start at 6:45, so that might be tough. But let's see what we can do. We definitely want to accommodate, especially our working families who perhaps work far away from their child's school.
Will there likely be a wait list for consistent scheduled kids?
Great question. The question was, will there be a wait list for consistent scheduled kids? We don't know. And I want to talk a little bit about what that wait list looked like. So if you recall, and if you're a new family, bear with me, but if you were one of our families in the past, and we set it up that there were 80 spots, and when we hit 80, too bad, so sad, you were out. And then we had a link for a different website to go to get put on a wait list. With ARUCS, you would submit your contract, and we will approve it. And we're going to approve all of our consistent first. So it's not like we're looking at timestamps of everybody, even consistent and daily. We're going to do consistent first by timestamp and approve as many as we can. If we can't approve you, whether it's consistent or daily, we don't delete it. That starts our wait list. So you don't have to resubmit. You would still stay in the queue, but it'll say pending. And we're going to work really hard to streamline that communication. So you're not just left wondering, hey, it was 3 weeks ago and I asked for consistent, where are we? And again, I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of that communication, but my guarantee to you is we're going to keep you in the loop regarding where we are. You know, we still have some vacancies in our program, so we're not able to take as many as we want on Monday. But if you've been a former family member with us, you also know that August is tough. And then once we know how our numbers are shaking out, we're able to take more kids. But those first few weeks are very tough, and I wish there was something we could do. I wish we had 50 applicants who are qualified and certified and want to work with us. But we ask for your patience and your grace. But I think this system will help streamline that wait list or that pending process. Navajo does not offer Kids Club. They work with the City of Scottsdale program, and because that program is not licensed, they're not able to accommodate preschool and pre-K. Unfortunately, for Navajo, Hohokam, Pima, and Yavapai, they have opted to use the City of Scottsdale program as opposed to our Kids Club program. We have had some families in the past who unfortunately say, wow, I didn't realize that. I might need to go to pre-K at another school. Please reach out to us and we can see if we can get you tucked into another program, whether it be Kiva or Pueblo or someplace nearby that has Kids Club. Perfect. So the question was, when can I fill out the drop-in form for days? When can I fill that out? Essentially Monday. So if you're like me and you're a little type A, my husband's probably not watching, but if he was, he would be nodding feverishly. I would have gone in and I would have selected every early release day. Every day I know I have a late meeting at work. But again, those dates past like August are going to still say pending. We're going to, yeah, even the August days are still going to stay pending. We're going to give us a week to get through those consistent. So once we get the hang of everything, then we'll be able to notify you. But if you've put in a day in September, that's going to stay pending for a while. But when we do get it, we will use the timestamp for that school. And I apologize, you can't hear Larry, but he had a great point as my operations coordinator, was if you do the daily or the drop-in, it'll stay pending through the week before school starts, because we might be getting other consistent registrations in. At some point, we'll stop and say, okay, we have to start accepting some of these daily folks who maybe just need the first week of school, let's say. Also, and we'll talk a little bit about the daily schedule. If you've been a Kids Club family member before, you know that you had to do an emergency card on paper every year. It was the same information. You had to fill it out like it was a test, and you have to sign in and out. With ARUCS, all of that will be digitized, so that will streamline things quite a bit. Also, when you do your registration, when you fill out your profile, you will have to include at least 4 emergency contacts. You'll also have the opportunity to add people who can pick your child up. So let's say I don't have any family here and all of my emergency contacts are people who live out of state, but maybe on my pickup list, I have my next door neighbor who's authorized to pick up my kid if necessary. So you'll see those options as well. What are the questions? Oh, Monday's the 16th, not the 15th. You know why I was thinking the 15th? It's my son's birthday. So we are going to change that. I had his birthday on my mind. There we go. Thank you. Yes, so great question. The question was, could we do both? So again, could I do consistent mornings and drop in for afternoons? Because I know I may just need a few early release. Yes. So remember, one of the most important things to remember is when you create your profile and you start registration, you're going to see two boxes. One says consistent and one says drop-in. Always pick consistent first if you are going to use consistent for either before or after school. And then at the end, when you get to the very, very end, you'll see another option to add drop-in, and you'll be able to pick, oh yeah, I want drop-in for morning or afternoon. So if this is the case, when I start my profile and I see drop-in or consistent, I want to do consistent for morning, go through the whole registration system. I think it took me probably 5 or 6 minutes to fill it out. Then at the very bottom, it'll say, do you want to add another option? Yep, I want to add drop-in for after school. And you'll see also on there, you wouldn't even be able to select drop-in for before school because you've already selected the consistent 5 days a week option. Great question. How does consistent schedule work for half days? It's included. It's also already been incorporated into the price. If you're a drop-in member, the early release price is a little elevated because you're in the program additional time that day. For the consistent, it's already embedded and there's no additional fee for early release. How much advanced will you receive if you've been accepted into the drop-in? I don't know. Thursday.
Yeah,
And then by the next day.
and by the next day as well.
So what Larry just said, if you couldn't hear him, and again, I thank you for your patience while we kind of tag team it here, is the question was, how far in advance will I be notified of drop-in? If, let's make believe, I want drop-in for this upcoming Monday, I have to request it by today, and I'll find out by tomorrow. So if you requested it this past Monday, for next Monday, you'll find out by the end of the week, by Friday, if you've been accepted. Great question. The question was, can I sign up for the whole year and can I pay? So if you select consistent at Kiva, that's for the whole year. Unless you tell us otherwise, you're going to be invoiced at the end of every month or the middle of the month to be due by the 1st. Now, there are families who say, I kind of want to just pay and get it over with for the year. They can work with Julia, our fiscal coordinator, and she can either create an invoice and you can come in and pay, or we can work that through the through ARUX, but we'll figure that out. Great question. The question was, well, I have 2 kids. How does that work when I register? When you create your profile, the dashboard is pretty slick. And on the left-hand side, after I created one for my 1 kid and I put in all of his emergency contacts and everything, on the left, it says add a child. I could then now add my child and add all of their information. A little tedious. And even if the kids go to 2 separate schools, I have one that goes to 4th grade at Hopi and one that's in pre-K at Echo. You'll still in the same dashboard, same account. It'll just be 2 different contracts because each child will have a contract for before school, a contract for after school at each of the schools, if that makes sense.
Early these days, but I don't.
Great question. And so the question was, let's say I go in and I pick drop-in for all early release, but then I realize I don't need them. And we're going to see if I got my answer right. So my answer is, and I think I'm right, let's say we are going to be approving them by the week, and you put in early release for August, I think maybe let's say it's the 28th. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's relatively close to that week. August 28th, and we approve it. Once we approve it, it comes out, you're already paid for it. It's too late. You would not be able to get refunded for that if you ended up not needing it. Now, if you go in and you say, oh, I asked for one all the way out in April, my plans have changed, you can delete that. If it still says pending, you can remove it. But if it's been accepted, you cannot change it. Because remember, it's important to note also, you're paying for that spot. So for example, in pre-K, you're paying tuition for those 18 days in a block, even if maybe you only send your kid a few days a week. We have to, and I think I was remiss in not telling you all, and maybe perhaps you all know this, Community education is self-funded. So as opposed to your child's teacher that's paid out of the district's maintenance and operations budget, M&O, our staff is paid for strictly out of the money we get from tuition. So when our district is kind enough and it works in our budget and to give people raises, we absorb those costs. So if you're paying for that spot and we've already counted on you coming and we've staffed appropriately and it no longer says pending, then you are unable to change it at that point. Is the Eric's portal app? You know what? Let's see.
Yes.
You can create your account, and I'm thinking the reason I got blocked out was because maybe I'm on the district portal. I'm on the district network. So, oh, yep, I see it. So I went on my phone and I was able to get on very easily. You will read all the information when you first click that QR code that you can see on your screen. You will go through it all. And then at the very bottom, it says account management. And you should be able to, I have already set up an account. You should be able to create your account. So then on Monday, you would just go through it and register. Any other questions? Can you
register?
Yeah, if you, can I cancel an upcoming drop-in? If it's already been accepted, no, you can't. You would not be able to get refunded for that. Well, Larry's looking for more questions. I, again, apologize. I did not have a slide for, to talk about our Kids Club Day. So many of our families are new. They're joining us for preschool and pre-K. So welcome to SUSD. I've been in SUSD since I was 5 years old. So it's great that your kids are starting off their school careers with us. What happens with Kids Club is in the morning you sign in at 7 o'clock, let's say, and at 8:20, your child, Kids Club would theoretically be done, and the school, now the teachers are on duty and the playgrounds are open. If your child's in first, even I think kindergarten, they're released. Kindergarten through grade 5, they're able to be walked out to the playground. If they're in preschool or pre-K, our staff will walk them to the classroom. We would never say, okay, Johnny, walk across campus, good luck. We walk them to the classroom and sign them in. Then at the end of the day, school's out, they had a great day at school, it's 3:15, or depending if you're at Echo or Cheyenne, 2:15, and your kid's going to Kids Club. For the first week, I believe most schools will pick up kindergartners. They will absolutely always pick up the preschool kids, regardless of the time of year. Preschool, pre-K will always get picked up. Kids 1st grade through 5th grade walk over to the cafeteria, and then they wait in line. We get them sign in, which this year will be a lot, I think, quicker. We sign them in, then a snack is provided. So we'll have snack time while they're getting signed in. They have the opportunity to do some homework. And then there are scheduled activities and games throughout the day with our staff. Sometimes it's outside. When it's a heat advisory through October, it's going to be inside during the hottest part of the day. But there are lots of activities and games that the staff will play with the kids. It's a great question. The question was how spots will be prioritized. We have never had the opportunity within our registration system to prioritize that way. Siblings, that will not be prioritized. If you're an employee, you get a spot only because we need you in our district working. So you will have a spot. So we would want you to sign up sooner than later, sign up on Monday. And like I said, we're going to work through, but it's not like the pre-kindergarten enrollment groups where we would be able to sort them and say, okay, this family's had siblings here forever and ever and ever. We're kind of starting off scratch there. So we will take employees will have a spot, and then the people who have signed up for consistent will be prioritized, and then the drop-in.
They're getting a bunch, they're saying that they can't. So we're saying they can do. I do remember Eric was going to go through double check everything.
Yep. So some people are saying they're having technical problems. If you can use your phone for the QR code, if you are unable to access it, I would say try tomorrow, and if you still can't, you can send an email to, I'm actually going to put my email address in the chat. Eric's, yeah, Rochelle and Eric's was working on it. And again, she's coming in from Minneapolis on Monday to support us as we roll out. So there's my email. Again, I'll be in this role through June 30th, June 28th. Mr. Noonan will be here, but Larry Conti will also be available. You can also email kidsclub@susd.org. But because our Kids Club folks are working at our camp this summer, they're not in the office. So it might just be quicker to email me, and I'm going to help troubleshoot as best as I can. I'm pretty quick on email if you've ever emailed me before.
Sure, using Kids Club.
Oh, that's a great question. The question was, are the Kids Club staff affiliated with the district, or is it an outside vendor? No, they are our folks. They are SUSD employees, first and foremost. They are just as much a part of the school community as if they taught first grade, or they were an assistant in the cafeteria or in our special ed classrooms. So they are our employees. They are employed by Scottsdale Unified. Great question. If the company is based in Minneapolis, do we have to worry about the time change? No, we ensured that today as well. So it'll be 8 o'clock Arizona time. It'll automatically kick on. Okay, so what I'll do is I will reach out to Rochelle just to confirm, because when we were working on it today, she did turn on a school for me, and perhaps that is why I was able to create a registration profile. So I'm certain you'll be able to do it Monday, but I'll also find out if you can set up a profile without the ability to register, if that makes sense. I'm going to email her tonight, and I feel confident I'll be able to include this information on our website under the FAQs by morning.
I missed and just joined. How quickly does Kids Club get full the same day you launch?
That's a great question. How soon will you be filled? Now remember, it's a different registration system, but in years past, we were full within 2 days. So we don't yet know how many of you are. Oh, I'm being corrected. I'm so sorry. We didn't start waitlisting until July. So but with this new registration system, a lot of people might go on and say, hey, listen, I'm just going to sign up for consistent and, at least get me through August, and then we'll go from there. But like I said, if there won't be a wait list, it'll be pending. We'll keep everybody in the queue. And then we'll be, instead of having to call you and say, you got a spot, do you want it? We will just take you off pending and approve you from there.
Can I still push paper checks from?
Someone said, can I just have my bank send you a check to avoid the transaction fee? I believe so, but that's a question that we are working with ARUX on. Yeah, if you're doing consistent, you'll be able to send us a check and avoid the convenience fee. In the past year, we've had people come in also on their lunch break or when they could to either pay with cash, or we now have the ability for Apple Pay. We have joined. Oh, I'm getting no. Have to be through the portal. So, but they can send a check. Cash or check through here. I apologize. We do have Apple Pay for other things because we joined the 20th century recently. So yeah, it's a great question, which we can appreciate families saying, I'm a working parent, I don't need every day, but I'm concerned I won't get a spot if I pick drop in. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to accommodate as many as possible. We don't know what we don't know yet. That's the tricky part, I believe. But we're hoping to accommodate as many as we can.
Way to find out.
They're asking about the communication and the timeline. I don't think I understand the question. Yeah, Kids Club Camp, we were still finalizing sites. And so the flyer was made in advance of the registration date. And that's our hope. We want to give you the information like we are tonight in anticipation of having a few days lead time before registration starts. I can see the questions myself, actually. So let's see, I'll start from the bottom here. And again, we're going to compile these questions. It's our hope. Two kids going, yeah, you would enroll them together. If you accept, are preschoolers integrated with K-5? That's a great question. Depends on the school. Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, at Pueblo, Pueblo and Cherokee, the preschool and pre-K kids are in their classroom with the staff member for the first hour. And then as our crowd kind of dissipates a little bit, they're brought into the larger group. Everywhere else, they are together. They try to do their activities by grade level. So for example, we're not gonna have the pre-K kids playing a soccer game with the 5th graders. I teach at Pueblo. I don't know my meeting dates until after school starts. Yes, if you're an employee, we will be able to accommodate you. These are great questions. Do we play with similar ages? Yes, we try to group them best we can. Will the functionality of ARUCs be ready by 6/16? Yes, at 8 a.m. Is snack provided for before school and after school?
Provided.
Yeah.
Before school, they have
The school lunch. No, snack is just paid for. It's included in your tuition for aftercare. But before school, since our kids club takes place in the cafeteria, they could buy a school breakfast during that time. Any paperwork to keep handy when creating the account? Yes, and you know what I'm actually going to do is I am going to put in this document in the chat. See here. Thank you again for everyone's patience. Make an announcement. I want to make an announcement. There we go. All right, so I just put in the questions. I'm hoping you can see it. It's just the document that has that ARUC shared with us just this evening with the step-by-step directions and QR code. The two children. Yeah, so someone said, I apologize if I didn't answer the question. I have 2 kids. You're going to create one account. So you're going to have your account, but you can add as many kids as you want. So there is a registration fee per child. So you would pay $25 for each child for registration. But when you see the dashboard, you'll see it pretty clearly. Once you add, I added my son, Ryan, I added all of his information. And then when I went back to my dashboard on the left, there's a little plus that said add child. I could add my other child on there if I needed to. Yes. Oh, thank you. So to pick their days, you would do it separately. I'd go into Ryan and say, I want consistent. And you do that when you first create your profile. You say, I want consistent, or I want daily, or drop in. And then to go in, if you're picking drop in for each child, you would go in and select those days. So for example, if you have 1 child, you would get an email that says your contract is pending. If you have 2 kids, you would get that twice. If we have other discounts, unfortunately, we do not have other discounts. Whether you are active military, if you are, again, or retired military, thank you for your service. If you are a state employee or university employee, we don't. I know there are some tuition programs that we have, like military, that we work with, and we're not licensed through DES, but some families are able to have work subsidy, and we'd be happy to help learn about that if your work provides that.
You're consistent 3 or 4. Consistent.
Great question. If I want to be consistent 3 or 4 days a week, those unfortunately are 2 different things. Consistent means I'm paying for $5 days a week. I'm paying that. I think it was $225 for most of our schools. $225. I'm being invoiced every month, regardless if I go 2 days out of the 5 or all 5. If you know you're only going to need 2 or 3 days, then you could do the drop-in. We got a question about a block. A block is 18 days. Is it still $225 for 18 days, including half days? Yes. Did the screen freeze? Oh, I hope not. How are the spots prioritized? Anybody else new, Larry?
If my child's school starts at 8:45, what time can I drop them off for actual school? If I can drop them off at 8:30, I would really need after school.
Correct. That's a great question. So a family saying, what time do schools open up for duty? For the most part, as a former principal, most schools open up at 8:20. I know Tavon opens their gates at 8:30. There are many, many dozens of people outside the gates as early as 8:20. But most schools open up at 8:20. Teachers are on duty at the various playgrounds. So for example, when my kids were little, I only needed childcare in the afternoon because the morning I could get them like 8:18, kind of get them rolling before I had to report to school.
Asking, do I create the account?
No, so great question. Do I create the account in the kid's name? No, the account is in the adult's name. When you will add children as part of your account. They're a contract, but you're creating your account under your name. A question also was regarding divorced families or parents who maybe share custody. And we're going to get more detail, but we did learn from ARUX today that you will have the ability for you each to have your own account with the kids added, and you could say, Mom, I'm paying 50%, Dad's paying 50, or Mom's paying 20 and Dad's paying 80. We're going to learn more because I saw them do it today and they walked us through it, but I don't have enough knowledge to be able to support a family who perhaps may need to know that on Monday. But again, that'll be one of our questions when Rochelle from ARUX comes on Monday, that we can ask her that specifically step by step so we can support you all. Potentially we do. So the question was, do you have more staff for early release? We don't have staff on reserve that are just kind of like subs in a classroom, if you will, but we do look at the staffing for the week. So this past year, Laguna had a really, really small kids club. Copper Ridge has traditionally had a really small kids club. If we know we have a specialist, and that's the full-time lead employee, the specialist, and we have a provider and a provider two, maybe we don't need that. We can take that provider two and pull them at another site. We also like to have a float person who we can kind of pull off the bench and put where we need to play whatever position we need them to play that day. Yeah, and also on early release days, we do see if the pre-K assistants can support us and help out at Kids Club for a couple hours while before the crowd kind of, again, more kids leave. Let's see. When we'll be able to make accounts. I thought it was today. It'll for sure be Monday. But again, try again. I'm going to ask ARUX that again this evening for an answer in the morning. Any changes on the snack menu nut free? I don't believe so. Yeah, we'll have to ask nutritional services. If you, the person who asked that question, if you can email me, I can ask our nutritional services manager, Patty Bilbray, and if you could tell me the school, because it could be where she can maybe make some modifications just for that school. I am getting parents that say it's working when they're on their phone. If they scan the QR code from the phone, they are able to look. I signed up with my name and just edited it to show my child's info. Well, you want to make sure you create a profile for your child that includes, like when I signed myself up as an adult who was paying, I didn't have to include emergency contacts and pickup authorization. When you add a child, you have to add all that. So if you don't have a child added, you wouldn't be able to select days. I can't go in as the payer or the grown-up on the account and select days. I select my child and then select the days. Someone's asking if we signed up for drop-in, but we can't get any spots, can we apply for a consistent spot? Yes, but it says, will it be like we applied on June 16th or would we be put at the bottom? it would be whenever you switch to consistent, but we are hoping to prioritize those consistent folks for as long as we can. But we also want to honor the folks who maybe only need 1 or 2 days and need to know if they are getting in for those 1 or 2 days. I can appreciate the urgency there. So can I gamble on drop-in and theoretical sign up for the whole year, but I won't find out if it's accepted until the Friday before each week starts? Correct. No, they want to
So
switch from consistent to drop-in?
They have to finish the block.
Right.
And will be.
The question was, can we switch midstream from consistent to drop-in? No. Here's a great question. Curious why 8 a.m. Many of us start workday then. The reason is we have learned from our mistakes when we have opened up registration at midnight and then there's glitches. The website doesn't work and parents are now frustrated. They're up at 3, 4, 5 a.m. If you're like Larry, you're up at 3 a.m. and there's glitches and there's no one you can talk to. And then the other side of that is we wake up to 75, 85 emails and there's no way we could catch up. So 8 o'clock, we've been here for an hour or so. Larry's been here for a few hours and we can work our way through. We'll also have extra people helping support on the phones to help troubleshoot as well. Let me put our phone number. If you, email is going to be quickest. I'm going to tell you right now, please email us. But if you call this number, our 7900 number, and press 0, you'll get to Eliza. Feel free to leave a voicemail, but she will be fielding. Remember, she's also the front desk for all early learning, for our enrichment, for our camps. One thing I failed to also talk about, if your child signs up for, let's say, chess or Legos as part of our enrichment vendor program, and then they go to Kids Club after, our vendors will take them to Kids Club and sign them in. We're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but oh, great question. Do I need my kid's ID number? No, that is not one of the data points. Again, we are going to have this recording hopefully on our website. Jonathan, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm hoping you can send me a link to this recording and also some type of list of all of our questions. Or Jonathan, is there a way I can compile these questions from the Teams app? I think actually there very well might be. Let's see. Oh, Jonathan said yes, he'll do that tonight. Jonathan, you're the best. I can't thank you enough. Last minute questions. Yes, you do get a discount for second child. It's 10%. All right.
How do we submit the
Oh, how do we submit the DHS form? Best part, it's built into the Eric's registration. So you'll see all those different data points like approving your immunization or your emergency contacts. So there's no more paper. We have entered. Yeah, we'll print it out and you'll sign it at your site. But yes, you'll do that all. Again, if you have more than one child, you're filling it out again for your second child, but it's digital. So for some reason, it seems less tedious to me than writing it on a piece of paper. All right, I'm hoping we got as many. I'm getting texts from people saying they were able to access the landing page, so that's great. But we're in this together. And again, I'm hoping Monday goes smooth, but if it's not, we're going to figure it out. And if you're having a problem, more than likely someone else is too. So again, I want to appreciate it. I also want to take the time again, as I leave my tenure here, I'm really excited that as part of my new role, I will be overseeing still around over community education, as well as overseeing all of our elementary schools and K-8s. So I'm glad that I'll still be able to be around our early learning programs and our enrichment programs, and more importantly, our Kids Club programs. So the kids will still see me, but I want to thank you for your patience and your grace and your trust in us. We take our student safety as the utmost, and we're so grateful you put our trust into us. So again, we're in this together. We're going to keep the lines of communication open. We're going to check the website. We'll have the PowerPoint and these questions compiled as well. But don't hesitate to email me or give us a call should you have any problems or questions throughout the way. I want to thank you again for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.